What is up, guys? How is everyone doing today? We are finally here with another guide. I know it's been a while. It's been like 9 days since I made that Aurora guide. I wanted to get this out earlier, but I was procrastinating. But here we are with the Kwang guide. I definitely need to work on lane guides and jungle guides and stuff like that for players who just don't understand, especially newer players. That being said, this is a big point of contention of this character, so I thought he was a great one to do. I did want to do Shinbi. I thought she was going to be really good. I do enjoy her very much, and I want people to know how strong she is. That being said, Kwang also is another character who is very underrated and very, very, very powerful, and pretty much just breaks the meta. I'm going to go over his kit here and some tips and tricks and stuff, things I've learned from playing him. Obviously, again, if you guys have your own tips as well, don't be shy to leave them in the comment section below. But through and through, this character is god tier. He's actually broken. I always want to put him number 1, but like I can't get over Aurora's utility in the team fights as well as her escapability. Despite Kwang having a lot of escape potential, Aurora just has a better way of escaping. She also is just absolutely crazy, and her ultimate wins team fights completely, and her pressure is insane. Just like Kwang, she doesn't have the same carry capacity as Kwang does. They are both tanks anyways, so they're not just going to hard carry a game. They're going to be more important in a team fight than anything else. That being said, Kwang is easily the best tank in the game, by far. Yeah, it's not like he can soak up the most damage. But that being said, he is just so crazy in the form of what he can do. His interruption is insane. His just tank ability is insane. His survivability is insane. His chase is insane. And you think this is a great assassin, isn't it? Like, no, it's a tank, let me tell you. Luckily, he's a warrior, so his burst damage is a lot higher than a tank's. I definitely do think tanks need a buff in the tank department, despite the tank items needing a nerf. I think the items are a problem, but I think the tanks need a little bit of stronger mitigations, as well as like better ways of surviving. Because right now, warriors can just be built full tanky. You can have mid tanks, like you can have things that where they compare to like tanks, true tanks. And I think that's a problem. I think warriors shouldn't be able to build full tanky and just be the exact same role as a tank. I think it's dumb, and the tanks have lower damage. They're slightly tankier, but again, the base values in this game don't really mean much outside of everything. They definitely need to tweak those numbers for carries, tanks, warriors, and assassins and stuff. But anyways, I digress. We're here to talk about Kwang and what he does, right? Like I said, I really like this character. I feel like I haven't played him enough, but that being said, I've played him for like 14-15 hours so far over the course of the early access. It's been out for a month. Most of my time has been dedicated to Serath and Aurora, obviously, 2 first guides. I've had over 24 hours in both of them, and then Kwang, I think I have him as the 4th, Shinbi as the 3rd, about 14-15 hours on him. So yeah, I hope you guys learned something in this video. Again, a very fun character. I think he's one of the most fun characters in the game. I want to say he's the 2nd most fun character in the game outside of Zena, if you think about it from a kit standpoint. He just has a lot to work with, man. It's so much fun. But anyways, enough talking. Let's get right into the video. I'm going to try to make this a little bit shorter form than the other ones, hopefully, but it's probably going to last a while because there is a lot to talk about with this character. Yeah, let's get right into it. So Kwang is an interesting character. Kwang is one of 6 tanks. I like to say 5, but there is technically 6 true tanks that are meant for tanking and really not meant for damage. Rampage being one of them, Steel, Severa, Kwang, Aurora, and Narbash. Those 6 characters are technically meant to be true tanks. Narbash, again, point of contention is whether you build him support. He can work as a support, like support built. The problem is he's a melee support. He's not strong enough to be a proper support right now. Without your team pretty much hard defending you, which is a massive problem, and he definitely needs buffs, so I kind of keep him out of the tanking sphere right now because he can't go solo or anything. Tanks are meant to be able to be on their own, solo, all this stuff, but, you know, Narbash should be built tanky, realistically. You shouldn't have a full support Narbash or he's going to get blown up in 2 seconds. That being said, Aurora, Kwang, Steel, Severa, and Rampage, all great solo laners, all are able to go solo, all extremely tanky when built that way, and don't have insane damage potential without sacrificing a lot of their kit. They are definitely meant to be true tanks, at least at the moment. Kwang is an interesting case. You can build him damage, physical or magical, honestly. Physical works a lot less than magical in most cases. It makes him an ult bot because his abilities don't actually do physical damage, except, well, slight splits, but most of the time it's only magical that you're doing. Your E does a little bit of physical, but, you know, it still is magical, dealing magical damage. And then your right click doesn't do any physical, so unless you ult, it is not, which we're going to talk about, it converts it, it is not going to be that important. But let's go over his kit. So he has his left click is called Newman Swing. Slashes the enemy in the order of sky, earth, New, and Moon, dealing physical damage equal to 120%, 100%, 110%, and then 140%. So the last hit does the most damage. A landing New on an enemy launches them airborne. When Moon lands on an enemy hit with New, deals bonus true damage equal to 30% of physical power. So I'm pretty sure you don't actually, let me go to the training dummy. I'm pretty sure you don't actually have to hit the whole combo, because like if I miss this hit, I think the true damage still goes out. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it doesn't. Never mind. Maybe because I hit minions or something. I always thought it went out. Yeah, so never mind. I guess you do actually have to hit the knock-up to get that. I always thought you didn't. So yeah, you do have to hit the knock-up to get that. Again, see, what do I know? Don't follow my guide, guys. And when you hit the knock-up, which this is a knock-up, by the way. So his auto chain has a knock-up. That third, he can't, so this is unaffected by attack speed. A lot of people don't actually know this. This hit, right, this third, his whole attack chain, you cannot build attacks on him. It does not matter. It doesn't affect him in any way, shape, and form. But every third hit will be a knock-up. The knock-up is pretty huge. It immobilizes the enemy. It interrupts abilities. He probably is realistically the best CC'er in the game just due to this mechanic alone. And he has 2 other forms of CC in his kit at certain times, which is insane. But yes, he is pretty insane just because of that. That puts him in S tier. Like, if this was his only ability and then everything else was a passive, honestly, he'd still probably be like nearly S tier. But it's just the fact that this is, he doesn't, no one even comes close except Aurora to his kit with this ability, and Phase, for other reasons. That being said, even if they got rid of this, he'd still be S tier. I put him S tier in my tier list. If they got rid of his knock-up, he'd still be S tier. Probably wouldn't be the 3rd best character in the game. Maybe he still would be, who knows? I can't gauge that, but yeah. Anyways, it's a knock-up. And then when you hit the knock-up, you go down. Just stand still, by the way. So when you want to do this auto chain, a lot of people don't know how to do this. You can move for the first 2 hits, as long as you don't dash. But when you hit the knock-up, just stand still. Like, you don't want to move. If you move during that, it's really easy to miss, because you're like kind of like whiffing it. Just be careful, especially on skinnier targets. Just stand still. You might be able to, if you think you're too far away when you hit the knock-up, you can move up a little bit and then do it. You do have a small window if you're holding it down. And now let's go over his right click next, because it does go with this ability. It's pretty much the only time you should realistically use the ability unless you're poking. So we're going over his right click. Crescent Moon deals 204 magical damage. Obviously, values change, whatever, to enemies within range and resets the next basic attack's cooldown. Resets the next basic attack's cooldown. Oh. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know that was built in mechanic. I swear they just added that text. Using Crescent Moon while the Rumble Sword is still plunged in the ground deals the same amount of damage in the area. The hero gains Thunder Lightning status, which makes it so this next hit deals bonus magical damage when the next basic attack hits an enemy. So you do physical on your basics, right? But if you press right click, you do magical on the next hit. So if you guys don't know that, that is actually a mechanic with Kwang. He actually does magical when he presses his right click outside of his ultimate, which is very interesting. And then it said it also resets the basic attack cooldown. So what I think they mean by this, so it actually, I guess just, it's an interrupt, right? You can use the basic attack right after. It basically just speeds up the animation, which is what we want to go into, right? So what you want to do, with this right click, you really don't want to just walk up and just press it on people. You can if they're low or whatever. It depends on the situation. A lot of the times, I'm not going to press the button unless I'm using a different ability. But most of the time, you're going to wait for the knock-up. So you're going to hit twice, 3 times. Once they get knocked up, you press right click, and then you hit again. Now, this is a pretty big mistake I feel like a lot of people do on Kwang. Normally, you'll hold your basic attacks down. If you're holding the basic attacks down, you do not get the right click effect. The right click effect does not work. So you see how I just did the hit there, but you didn't see the numbers? It's because I'm holding left click, and then I tapped my right click, which instantly goes in the next basic. So it is an auto attack canceled. The problem is, if you press it too fast, you don't get the right click effect, which is that. You don't get that 204 damage, which you want, no matter what you want. So what you should do, when you're holding down the button, when you want to use your right click, no matter what part of the combo you're in, let go of the button. What I personally think you should do to make sure you can guarantee the hit no matter what, so they're immobilized, is you wait for the knock-up, let go, press right click. Super simple, super easy. I always do that. That's my bread and butter. It's pretty much the go-to combo on Kwang, no matter what, as long as you're hitting the knock-up, which you should be hitting your knock-up. Also, you have to be careful about aiming his basics. He's not like other melees. You do have to play pretty precisely. So you treat him as a ranged character. Treat him as like, you can't just like sit here and just wail on someone like this, right? Because you have to hit that knock up, and it's very difficult to hit them from the side. This target's pretty wide, but it's very difficult to hit them from the side. Most of the time, when it's like a skinnier target, you have to be lined up with them. And so another tip, like I said, just track them like you're playing a ranged character and be as close as you can to make sure you get into the knock-up. And then, yes, you can do it pretty quickly. As long as, I believe, you let go of the button, you'll be able to get that effect no matter what. So you can do it pretty quickly. You don't have to, like, wait, which a lot of times I'll do still. And then you, like, instantly, you know, go back to holding it until you get the knock-up. So whenever you do the knock-up, just make sure to let go of the button and then instantly hit right-click. You can do it instantaneously. It doesn't matter. It's super quick, super fluid. You just have to get used to letting go of the button when you hit the knock-up, then hitting the right-click. I don't know if it would help by putting the button on another key, but you don't want to hold the button down and press right-click, or you'll skip that effect of damage and instantly go into your next auto. And I have to say, it's not worth it. Even if you're trying to cut to the knock-up, it just isn't worth it. Getting that damage gone is not worth it. You're missing, like, a good amount of damage. If you're full tank, it's going to be, like, 208. That 208 matters. Literally just hold the button down and get the knock-up, then press it, and then do the hit. It definitely is just it's going to add up, because you're going to get the knock-up again, and you're going to have full CDR. You're going to be able to spam the ability at full build. I believe it's on, like, a 4-second cooldown or 5-second cooldown or something like that, so you definitely want to have that effect go out. So like I said, knock up, let go of the button for a second, instantly press right click, and then you can press your left click again. I'll go back to holding it. Every time you do the knock up, when your right click goes up, let go of the button, press right click. Even if it's off cooldown, honestly, just get used to doing it. Just press it anyways, because you always want to get the effect off. So it'll also instantly get you into that next mode, like that next hit. So you'll pretty much guarantee the 4th hit no matter what. Just don't move when you do it, just to make it a little bit more fluid. But yes, it is nice. Again, that tech alone, I feel like is a lot to remember. You have to play a lot of Kwang. I definitely wasn't used to using that, because I used to just hold down the button and press right click, and I kept messing that up. But now it's just muscle memory. Whenever I play Kwang, right? He's a whole different feeling character. He's really fun, and I do love that mechanic. At first, I wanted them to fix it, but honestly, I kind of like the mechanic now. Maybe just because I got used to it. He's not a new player-friendly character by any means. I tell people not to play Kwang, despite how broken he is, if they're new or they don't understand him at all, without like a lot of practice, because you have to get used to that combo alone. And I know we've only talked about 2 abilities, so I know this video is going to be extremely long, but let's go on to his other ones. So, like I said, his basic chaining is like his bread and butter. It's literally what makes him so broken. There's other things too, but this is like the main thing that makes him insane. Is that knock up. You're going to be a nuisance as a tank. You're going to be doing a shit ton of damage. You're going to be slapping. You're going to get that constant knock up every few seconds. And there's other ways to enable that, by the way. So his next ability is going to be his teleport. You literally just throw your sword. It roots them for 1.5 seconds. Now, they can't use any movement abilities during this. Really, they can, but if they use it within that 1.5 second threshold, so if you catch them on their movement ability and they try to blink, they actually can't blink away from the sword. I feel like it's been, if you press the sword again, you can teleport it. That's my E. I think it's Q for you guys. This is split between physical and magical, so this is the ability that uses dual physical and magical. Again, still not warranting building a physical build. He's just a tank right now, maybe in the future, but not now. But yes, you do want to hold it for 1.5 seconds and then hit your teleport is what I like to do, just to keep him there so my team can wail on him a little bit. And yeah, it's just a great gap closer. It's basically why you're going to win your lane 9 times out of 10. He's honestly, I always say he's the best counter to Aurora, because he doesn't have to fight her. He can just sit there, hit this, and then straight up just go back into the fight. To pull your sword back, just hit your left click. Don't, and also when you're hitting the ability, don't double tap it. I would also recommend putting this ability, by the way, on normal casting. Instant cast, you don't have a targeter, so it's, if you have a feel of where you want to throw the sword, like if you look down, you throw it right in front of you. If you look up, you throw it farther away. But for the most part, it's easier to have a targeter, kind of like with Rampage's jump. The jump is garbage unless you have a targeter, in my opinion. Same with Kwang's sword, it just feels like garbage unless you have a targeter. The sword will stay in the ground, I guess, for 6 seconds. I thought, honestly, it would stay there forever. Honestly, I didn't know it was only 6 seconds. See, again, what do I know? But I guess it comes right back to you. You can't teleport through the portal with this unless maybe I didn't do it in time. I haven't really tried it. Oh, there's a portal. Let me check actually. I don't think I'm gonna cut the video. I'm just gonna keep it raw. But yeah, like as far as I'm aware, you can. Now I might have exceeded the timer because I didn't know it was 6 seconds. You also can't sprint in this mode, so if you try to hit shift, it doesn't work. I go through the portal. Never mind. I guess I ran out of the timer. You can go through the portal. I am so stupid. Wow. I don't. Okay. I was gonna redo the recording, honestly, if I've messed up on all this information, because I've never. You don't really get an opportunity to do that often. But if you're chasing somebody, or you know, or you want to finesse somebody, right? Or maybe a Kalari followed you and you're 1 HP, and you honestly could probably just fight her off. But I guess you could teleport back through the portal. I tried this on stream, and I guess I didn't know about the 6-second duration, so you have to do it pretty fast. Wow, that is amazing. I actually didn't know that worked. That's insane. Oh, interesting. Okay, well, yeah, even I'm learning things in my own guide, guys. Let's keep it authentic, though, like I said. That's amazing. Wow. Holy. Again, it didn't work on stream because I guess the 6-second window was exceeded. But yes, you can teleport through the port, back to the portal if you really want to. That's an awesome tech. Honestly, just to ensure the soul laner can't go over, you can just keep using the portal and teleporting back to lane to make sure they don't use it if there is no gank potential. That's a great tech. I'm gonna do that from now on. Anyways, so yeah, you can use the sword as a great engage tool. What I like to do when I'm fighting somebody is throw the sword, hit the right click, instantly go in, and then I'll go into the combo, and then they'll use their dash, and then I'll dash towards them, which is his other ability. Fierce Battle. Charges quickly and low, and becomes invincible for 1 second. Now, this ability has a very, very big window. Now, I don't know if you can block towers with this, because I don't pay attention to that. Let's see. One. I think I blocked that. It looked like I blocked it, right? Just hit the cooldown. Yeah, you can block tower shots too, which is awesome. So the end of it has a pretty big window, it feels like. Now, 1 second in a fight is a lot, honestly. So maybe that's why it feels like I could block it forever. But like the end of it, I've dodged rampage. I'm consistently dodging rampage rocks, Decker stuns now, Murdoch pushes, which is a big thing, by the way. It feels really nice. You do have a pretty large window to get through that. Now, what this ability also does, which is a very thing, which I used to hate, but it actually helps a lot, is it puts you to the next stage of your auto attack. So like I said, you have a 4-stage auto attack chain. So when you have the dash, you'll go to the next stage, right? I think I accidentally used it there. So if I dash, right, if I engage with this, I'd instantly go into my second hit versus going into my first hit. So whatever step you're on, it'll skip to the next one, regardless. So if you're on the 4th hit, it should skip the 4th hit, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm gonna do that, which you don't want to do. Granted, if you know that your target's gonna jump and you can't hit that hit, you actually have a pretty long window to use this last hit. Right? See how long that took? Like, I'm not sure of how long the window is. It's a pretty long window. So during that whole time, if you don't use your dash, right, you're just holding it, then you dash. You go into the next step, you'll skip that last hit. If you need to skip that last hit because you didn't hit the knock-up, or you just know you can't confirm the hit, you can skip that. But a really good use to that is literally just engaging with this. If you have an opportunity to just dash at them, instantly hitting the knock-up, hitting the right click, going into this, and then you get another knock-up, then you go into the down hit. It's a massive, massive advantage. And I mean a massive advantage. Simply just to the fact that you could skip to your next knockup, which is insane. Now, you never really want to use it on when you're about to do the 3rd hit because that's your knockup. So unless they dash away, don't dash because it's gonna ruin your auto combo. I do it all the time. I literally ruin it and miss the knockup. It's so sad. But sometimes you just need to dash, obviously. If you can, avoid... try to engage with this ability to get it going first. Unless you know you need to dodge something. Otherwise, you're going to use your sword plunge, right? And then you're going to engage like this, and then you have your iframing ability, and sometimes you just need to use it whenever. Most of the time, you'll get your knockup off, though. But try not to skip it on your 3rd hit. Try to use it on, like, your first one, so you can ensure the knockup. But if you want to skip right to the knockup, and you're trying to interrupt your ability or whatever, literally just hit once, dash. And also, by the way, let me tell you, the dash also goes in whatever direction you want. So you can go forward. You can go to this. Oh, sorry. I can't press buttons right now. You can go to the side. You can go backwards, which all have separate animations, and you can go to the left. So you could dash. Oh my god. You can dash in whatever direction you want. It doesn't really matter. But This also always has the 1 second invincibility. I think they buffed it or they made it more smooth, because before I never tanked through abilities, and now I'm always just dodging abilities by accident. Like, I'll dash at a rampage while he's throwing a rock, not even noticing, and then I'll just instantly just be able to go through the rock, which is really awesome. But yeah, it's an iframing ability. It's a dash. It's a second form of engagement. So you have this as a form of engagement, right? And then you have this as a form of engagement. It's a pretty decently long dash. It has an iframe ability. It resets your combo, so you have to be aware of that. So he functions kind of like, I feel like, I guess, Crunch, right? Like a character who has a combo mechanic. You have to be very aware of his kit. All of this alone is really, really fun. I do love all of the techs you could do with Kwang, especially that portal tech. Oh my god, I didn't even know about that. But yes, you can do a lot of different things with Kwang. He's a very high skill character. I know this is a lot of information. The guide is all over the place. But let's go on to his ultimate, because his ultimate kind of just cleans up everything. His ultimate is like the least inspired ability in the entire thing. His ultimate becomes a new moon warrior who emits concentrated lightning energy for 10 seconds. So it's a 10-second form. Like Sarath or Grux, he gets a form. While in this form, the hero gains all effects granted by thunder and lightning status. Now, if you remember, that changes all your physical damage to magical. So it gives you the effects of thunder and lightning status. You can use the effects unlimitedly, so you just hit for all magical. In this state, using Crescent Moon skill on an enemy also stuns the enemy for 1 second. So, if you press right click, that is a 1 second stun. So you have a 1.5 second root. When you teleport, you hit the right click, it's a stun if you're in the form, and you also have a knockup. So you have 3 forms of CC as Kwang. Now, if you see, I have 0% CDR. The cooldown is 50 seconds. So for those of you, usually I feel like in these I don't actually build CDR, let's just build whatever they tell me to. This is not max CDR. Well, let's just put it at 35. Let's just say you had a 35%, right? You have a 32.5 seconds cooldown on this ultimate. So if you did want to do a physical build with Kwang, like a crit or some weird thing, when they buff physical, it's possible, right? But right now, physical only is pretty bad. Having 1 or 2 physical items, though, isn't a bad idea, and the recommended for him is actually physical, but you overall will just get less damage than what you should. But if you want, and also, I don't know why they give him dual moon, that is a horrible thing on him. Anyways, but when you use your ultimate, you'll instantly go into magical hits. So every hit you have will be magical instead of physical. So it's possible. You could do it, right? It's not a bad idea. I just prefer magical because the magical values are better. It skills better with him. Everything about it is just better overall, as long as you're not going crit. And by the way, you can go crit with 3 magical, 3 crit. That is a thing, and it works. It's disgustingly good because his autos are magical. It scales off of it. You could build him a lot of different ways for damage if for some reason you're doing some weird meme build, but for the most part, you're going to build him full tanky. But yes, his ultimate has a 32-second cooldown. Now, if you noticed, the old cooldown starts right when you click the button. It doesn't wait till it's done. So 10 seconds go by. So if you had max CDR, you're going to have a 30-second cooldown. But if you have 35% CDR, you have a 32.5% cooldown. But it starts at 22 seconds. So your cooldown only is a 22-second cooldown. So this ability is spammable. Now, the damage you also get from it is pretty good, right? You get bonus magical damage on each hit. I believe for this, it's 76 per hit. So you do more damage. Now, early on, this is going to be your main way of getting kills. It's just going to add a lot of damage to your basics. Later on, it's not going to be as important. Still important, especially because of the stun, because you're not building magical or physical. But you are just getting a bonus amount of damage on everything you do, which is really nice. So, yeah, like I said, super nice, super cool. It's basically just a stem or like a form. Like Sarath and Grux, way, way less impactful, but still just, again, adding to your damage. So Kwang, like I said, very interesting character. There's just so much in his kit that you have to be aware of. And I love it. I really do. I feel like he's a very complicated character, and there's just a lot to remember. Like, you just have to, like, think a lot more, which is why I'm assuming, honestly, I'm not trying to call all you guys out, but if you don't think his character is absolutely fucking busted, then again, there's just, you're not playing him. Like, for the same reason, you know, if Rampage is busted because he has a 3-second stun, Kwang has 3 forms of CC, you know? He has a 1.5 second root, and then he has a knock up every 3rd basic attack, and then he has a stun when he presses the ultimate, which is on a 22-second cooldown. So, he has a lot, and I mean a lot of CC. He probably has the most CC in the game, realistically in the shortest amount of time, because the auto is always 3rd. And then he also has true damage on the last hit, so he always will do that extra damage to tanks, which means he'll always win his 1v1 against anyone. And if they do have a stun, if he's able to get through it, like when Grux does his pull, if I see the AoE, I instantly press the dash button to get behind him and just start barraging him, and the pull doesn't affect me. Also, you can dodge Grux pull. His stun is a 1 second stun. Again, Kwang gets that on his right click anyways. In the form, you get 2 of them off usually. So, yeah, it's about 2 of them. Sadly, not more. It's a 5 second cooldown. But that's 2 stuns. So you basically get a Grux stun, because his is also, I believe, 1 second as well. But it actually does damage, like a lot of damage. So, yeah, like I said, a lot of CC, insane, just basic attack game, very, very hard character. In iframes, teleportation, literally can go through portals, can finesse, pretty uncatchable as well. He's one of the most, I'll go into like a 5v1 or, 1v5, and then I'll just throw my sword, walk in a direction like a countess does, and then just teleport. It's crazy. So anyways, I really like this character. I think he's amazing. I think he's great. Fantastic. You definitely try him out if you don't, if you haven't. If you don't have him, honestly, he's not worth the money if you're a new player, if you don't know how the game works. But if you want a really fun, complicated character, and that's the kind of thing you like in a game, try him out, man. He's tough, but when you learn him, he's so broken. You will carry games. Now, let me give you the build that will carry the game for you. All right, so ability order. So the order of abilities for me, personally, would be Crescent Moon, obviously, his strongest, obviously, poke. The second ability is always going to be the dash. Do not get Rumble second. There's a lot of reasons for this. One, you don't get the iframe early, so if you do run into someone with a stun or a knockup or something, you can't negate any of the damage. Also, it's just a better chase tool, in my opinion. Rumble, realistically, is a better chase tool, but getting this first is going to allow you to gank better, especially if you're fighting like you go to duo, and there's a Decker, or an Arbash, or a Muriel with the AoE stun ready, which she won't have it. But yes, definitely get this second, because it's just what you should do, in my opinion. And then you're gonna upgrade this third, but it's gonna be your second most ability, because it does damage, this one doesn't. But get a second definitely. It's just nice to have the iframe at level 2. Max Crescent Move when you can, max the ultimate when you can over Rumble, but then Rumble third, and then Fierce Battle, you max it last fully. The build, like any other tank, I only have 2 builds here. Again, like every other tank I've mentioned on here before, or Seraph, Aurora, and then, Kwang, and any tank, honestly, these are all the items. This is the universal build for most tanks, by the way. Maybe not Shinbi, but she's like a pseudo tank. The standard build, you got Zymia's, Pendant, and then you got High End. That's just the normal 3. It's the holy trinity of items. If you're fighting a balanced team, this is what you're going to go. Every single time, if you have a worse time against the carry gets fed. Just switch High End with Pendant. But honestly, if it's physical focus, you're going to use the other build. You can go to Sweet, anything else for the next 3. I like going Sweet Life 4th. I just love the CDR. Getting 35% at the 4th item is really nice. The 600 health, great. It's just a great statted item. The passive is whatever. It doesn't really matter that much, but when the passive does proc, it feels really nice. But like I said, it doesn't really matter what you go as a tank, as long as you get tenacity at some point when there's a lot of CC as well. If there isn't a lot of CC, switch out tenacity. You could switch out Sweet Life for literally whatever you want, as long as you get CDR from this item. High or Zinx Claw Barrier, usually your 5th or 4th item, depending. Or if you need anti-heal, just, again, if you need anti-heal, just buy the anti-heal part of the item. You don't actually have to buy the whole thing. Just buy the little yellow physical anti-heal thing, and then go on to your next item. But eventually you get Zinx Claw. The reflection is nice. It's just a really good statted item. Needs a nerf. And then you get tenacity. Again, just solid tank build. This is the build that's going to carry you in a lot of your games. It doesn't matter if you're tank, jungle, just always build full tanky. Now, my recommendation is, if you wanted to have damage, for some reason, one reason or other, there is situations where you'd probably want a little bit of damage. Your team's really bad, you might want one or damage item. Honestly, I'd still say go full tanky, but if the other team is really good and your team is terrible, get a Teardrop. Teardrop is the best mage item in the game by far. It's just the best damage you can get as a tank as well. It just does % health damage, so you'll burst tanks down faster. It gives you a little bit of health. And again, for Kwang, your poke game is really nice because you'll keep proccing it over and over again whenever your sword hits someone and your right click hits someone. So it doesn't actually work on your ultimate, I'm pretty sure. I tested it. As far as I'm aware, it doesn't. In the next build, like I said, physical focus. Again, realistically, it's only if there's a lot of carries in the game. This is the build is for, or a lot of physical in general. If there's a lot of 2 crit characters in the game, you definitely want anti-crit. But there's only 1, you could skip anti-crit, change it with artificial gravity inductor if it's a physical focused team. And then, like I said, literally anything else after that. I just like this build was just meant to counter physical specifically, but again, most of the time you'll have a normal team comp, so you want to go with the magical build. You get a lot of health from both these builds, and then you also get an insane amount of defenses from both these builds. The physical obviously gives you a lot more physical than magical. I do like going this split though, for physical and magical. You do get a lot less physical, but you get 50 more magical, and it's just a cleaner build. You get a lot more health too, which is really nice, and a lot more mana actually as well. You do get a little bit less CDR, but again, you can change out whatever item you want. A lot of the times I don't even build Zinks anymore, so you know, take that however you will. But yeah, it just depends on the team comp. Like I said, this is really anti-carry because everyone loves to run carries, and you can completely counter them this way, even if they have full pen. It's super easy, super nice, and you get a lot of physical negation as well, so you're just a massive tank anyways, and then you get this as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I know the video was very long, and the build section wasn't that in-depth. I honestly, the builds are just all going to be very cookie cutter until again, also, these videos, by the way, these guides, never go to the build section and assume this is how you should build them at the time of, of recording, or at the time of watching the video, because at the time of the recording, these items are the strongest, right? These are some of the strongest items. At least these three are some of the strongest items in the game. Hopefully, again, I'm going to make a video on these as well. These get a nerf if they don't announce it beforehand. But hopefully this month, we're getting a patch soon for Wukong, which I'll have a guide on day 2 of Wukong immediately. I'm going to play the crap out of Wukong first day. I'm going to figure him out first day. Hopefully there's a balance patch with that patch. And then I'm going to put a guide out the second day. So if you guys are looking for a guide on Wukong, definitely look out for that dropping the next day after he comes out. Very, very excited for that. Very excited for that character, but most likely he's going to be built the same way. But as of the time of the recording, check the date, check the patch cycle, whatever. Again, I'll be live pretty much every day, realistically. I don't think I'm going to stop being live every day. I love this game. I love playing this game. So if you guys do have any questions about my builds and what I'm building at the time of, like, when you watch the video, just come to my stream, say hi, support me a little bit there. A little plug, a little shameless plug there. And yeah, I definitely will update the builds on the site. I'm probably going to try to keep one build per character, the best build possible, and have alternatives, maybe a little less good or maybe a little fun. I want to keep 3 builds per. Maybe I'll have, like, when they release the API or something, maybe I'll have like a better build setup thing there, or maybe I'll have it in my Discord. I'm not sure how I'm going to format this, but as far as I'm aware, I'll try to update the builds on the guides that I've already done, and maybe I'll have builds for every character for guides I haven't done. But universally right now, tanks are all built the same. Most of the characters are all built the same. So Zymia's is still the strongest item in the game. Then you go into, your pendant, which is another really strong item, and then your high end, which is another really strong item, or you go physical focus, as a tank. But again, it can change, so don't take this with, like it's the Holy Bible. Like, it's not set in stone that this is going to be the meta in a month. But yeah, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know I was all over the place, and again, I found things out that I didn't even know about Kwang, like the teleporting tech, as well as the 6-second timer on the sword. Didn't know I honestly thought I would just have it out. I always just pick it up now, so it's, again, muscle memory. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Look out for another guide for Shinbi coming soon, or Wukong, depending on when he's announced. I don't think he's coming this week, and I don't know if you're seeing this video. I don't know when. My internet's out right now, like I said, so I don't know if I can upload this on my hotspot. Probably not. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But yes, yeah, like I said, this was fun. I do like Kwang. I definitely recommend him for players who are very much more experienced. But if you guys are playing from, from other MOBAs, if you guys aren't new to MOBAs and you really want a complicated character, or if you're looking for a challenge, honestly, I'd wait for a PvE. Go in the training mode, definitely test him out a little bit. Go in a custom game, honestly, and test him out. But yeah, he's a great jungler. He's a great solo laner, which I think those are the lanes that I set for him. Yeah, solo and jungle. Those are the only 2 places I'd play him. You could play him mid as a full tank, like any other character, honestly, but I would just keep him in the solo and the jungle. Just, you don't need him in every game, but he's very nice to have in every game. But yeah, he's broken. He's busted. Definitely try him out. And yeah, I hope you guys look forward to the next guide. I will see you guys in the next video, which honestly will probably be either an upload VOD, if I can get my internet working, or a rant video about the tank items, because that is a big point of contention for a lot of people, thinking they think carries are broken. Tanks are still broken, and I want them to be nerfed so I can build other things. I want to have some fun. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys in the next video. Peace.